So hi guys, today I've got the pleasure and opportunity to interview Mr. Michael Rice. We've met just recently. Even though a friend of mine introduced me his work a few months ago, we've met personally just recently. I've attended few of his seminars, and I found it really inspiring and amazing. And we've connected, and it worked out pretty well. And so I found I would like to share with you what are Michael Rice's passions and what he's interested in about. And yesterday I've attended his seminar, Business with Heart, and it was really amazing. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. So, Michael, could you first let us know about your background and how did it all start?
Well, first, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you all for connecting with me and us in this moment. Okay. So, Michael Rice is the name, and I was born in Ireland, and I live and I'm primarily based now in Czech, in Moravia, Helsinki. And that is where most of my seminars and my events take place, when in Czech. And by way of background, I've been an architect for almost 30 years. And in that time, I have been involved directly and designed at least 500, perhaps some more, buildings in last count in 17 countries. So it's quite a body of work. And I say that not so much by way of reflection on me, but as a expression of how I'm working, which is primarily with sacred geometry. And what does that mean? So,
This is the
point.
This is the point. What got me got my attention at the very beginning. Sacred geometry connected with sacred architecture, because I didn't know before that someone is doing it. So,
well, let's get some clear definitions to begin with, or at least some operating definitions. Sacred, as perceived in language, means sustainable. Sacred is a state or a pattern of movement, of energy, of information that's able to hold its form. It's able to hold itself without an outside agency. And by that I mean it's able to keep itself integral plus growing naturally. So anything that's sacred, sacred space, sacred feelings, sacred form, is a pattern that's naturally forms itself and is able to hold itself together. So sacred geometry is a set of patterns and shapes, proportions, forms, symmetries that nature utilizes to create everything.
So sacred geometry to people that are not very familiar with this, or sacred symbols, let's say, are natural symbols, or what?
Well, let's take it simply. The universe as a creative expression of life uses certain mathematical sequences, principles, relationships, which are expressed as form at the molecular level, at the DNA level, at the atomic level, quantum level, and of course at the macro level, the physical body, the physical world, the galaxies. Nature uses certain patterns and shapes repeatedly, like a matryoshka, like a Russian doll, fractal expression of interbeing, of how everything is connected. And information flows from the very small to the very large, the very large to the very small. And it does so because of resonance. It does so because of shape similarity. It does so because there is a recognition. And literally the word recognition means to recognize, to rethink, reperceive, reconnect one thing to another. So sacred geometry is the art and the science. It is the philosophy and the practice of understanding and utilizing nature's creative force. So it can be used as a pattern for manifestation, it can be used as a mandala to focus, it can be used for a blueprint for creating something. In my case, my qualification and training in architecture naturally moved into seeking and desiring to utilize this natural design protocol in the creation of physical space. So what resulted from this, and this is not something I learned in college. In fact, my work whilst in college was generally viewed negatively.
Okay, when I just interrupt you for a bit. When was the first time when you stumbled upon sacred geometry, or you became interested in it? When you first saw the symbols or whatever?
You see, I had no access to it. It was pre-internet, it's 30 years ago when I graduated, so there was nothing that I could clearly access. The only body of work that I was able to connect with was a 1960s set of encyclopedias from America that was in my house. And I never got past the letter A because I was really interested in astronomy and architecture.
Okay.
And that kept me going in my youth, And the other books were there waiting for a future exploration. And B, business with art. I'm working through the alphabet. But in this case, I was really interested in astronomy and really interested in architecture. So that was my influence, but it was never mentioned. Now, I look back in this time and I see that they were intimately connected. At the time, it wasn't obvious to me, either intellectually or emotionally. But what I was attracted to was what I think it's Galileo described as the music of the spheres, which is the internal and external harmony of the movements of the planets, the stars, the formations of everything we see in the known universe. And what I was touching upon there, but what wasn't presented to me, was the inherent harmony in the way everything moved. And then architecture. Is there a connection? Of course. So when I started architecture school in Dublin, I naively imagined that they would be presenting this as the first movement, that they would be saying, okay, natural harmony, natural design, proportions, symmetry. No. So I thought, okay, I'm not ready yet. Maybe they're waiting another few months, another year. So I magnificently failed first year. And it's the first time I had failed anything, because my wonderful late father, he was a perfectionist, so anything less than 100% was laziness in his mind. So I worked hard, but I failed. And it felt okay to me to fail because it felt like a reboot. It felt like a new beginning, a chance. So during the summer of this year, in the early 80s, I said, okay, why did I fail? What am I missing here? And I realized that I wasn't missing anything. I just didn't know how to play the game. And I realized, okay, in order for me to qualify and to graduate and to be able to operate this way, I need to play a game. So I learned how to play the game, but never forgot what was calling me in the first place. And what was calling me was a way to design, a way to consciously manifest something sacred by utilizing and incorporating certain patterns and ratios and relationships between this and this, between that and this. And my designs in college represented that. And then I put onto that a little bit of the game matrix thinking, just so I could facilitate the tutor's comfort. Because I thought, okay, I have to get through this. And rather than being in conflict, let's harmonize what I'm doing with what they expect. So thank you to them, because they did serve a purpose. I was very lucky upon graduation that the normal trajectory for young architecture graduates would be to go to Berlin or Paris or some place where you get associated with a large architectural firm almost immediately. And then you can put on your resume or your curriculum vitae that for 7 years I've worked with blah blah. And they're known in the profession as star architects, but they're stars. So people want to associate, young students want, not students but graduates, wish to associate their names with a bigger name. It's understandable, but that's not what called me. And upon graduation, I began working with a satellite office of a larger firm, which only had me and one man, my boss. And this wonderful man, Oliver, I'm eternally grateful for this. The day I arrived, on the first day of work, on my first job upon graduation, he left. And he left to go and play golf for 3 weeks over in Spain or something. And he left me sitting there, like no internet, no distraction, just sitting at the drawing board, empty, nervously looking at a phone that might ring. And it did. The first morning it rang, and should I wait 3 weeks? No, I need to answer this. And to compress a longer story into a short format for the purposes of this, it was a long-time client of Oliver who needed some design work pretty much immediately. So, where's Oliver? Not here. So can you help? I don't know.
Okay.
So I met with the client, and it was the design of a bookshop inside a shopping complex. And so I hopped on my bicycle, my professional bicycle, and I cycled to meet the client, saw this concrete box inside a shopping center complex, and they said, we want a beautiful bookshop here. So immediately I thought, okay, I got to do this. What to do? So as I was cycling back to the office, I found myself thinking about Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Now, probably most of the people your age don't remember Star Trek the way I do, but I know it's been rebooted of late. But I remember the shape of the bridge of the Enterprise, the Starship Enterprise. It was circular, and there was a console, and there was a chair, and so on. And I remember thinking, that's a cool design. This radial pattern that was focused in one direction, but still contained layers of appropriate meaning and appropriate use of space. I wasn't intellectualizing this, I just saw an image of this. So I said, I'll design a bookshop based on the bridge of the Enterprise. So I did. I made a model, I did some drawings, I enthusiastically, without attachment, met the client. They looked at it, kind of blinked and said, okay.
Okay.
And they didn't change anything. So within the remaining 2 weeks, I drew it up, got the drawings ready for production and so on, got permission from the government. And when Oliver came back, he said, so how are things? I said, pretty good. I did this, and we're due to start tomorrow on site. So his first was a bit of a shock. Then he kind of thought, okay. A day later, he left for 3 months. And so the first 6 months of my work, I had designed a church, a sports center, 3 houses, and like compared to any of my colleagues who would have graduated with me, I had done 10 years work in 6 months, and it didn't stop. So I had 3 years with him, 3 years with another firm, and then a couple of years working as the architect for Ireland's richest man. And he was quite a visionary. He would literally buy a city block, and he would say to me, do something magical. So not quite unlimited, but effectively unlimited funds, complete free vision, and an opportunity and a team behind me that would support it fully. Project managers,
dream job, yeah.
And like I was well paid, well looked after. Out of 6,000 people that worked for him, I was the only one who worked from home.
Okay.
So I worked from home and designed nightclubs and hotels and super pubs and conference facilities, offices, and I was only 6 years after graduation. So for this time with him, I was open to anything. And I designed a nightclub based on Stonehenge, and the lighting rig that came down into the middle of Stonehenge was in the shape of a UFO. So can you imagine this movable lighting rig that descended from the ceiling and created these light effects? And we got experts who made movie sets in Hollywood to come to Ireland and recreate 1-to-1 scale Stonehenge as a nightclub. So cool, you know? So there was a sense that anything is possible. There was also an increased sense that geometry is the key. So every project incorporated this, but I was still a little not nervous. I still didn't feel completely comfortable with presenting it overtly, if you understand. I was incorporating it in terms of the invisible design.
I know.
But I wasn't basically saying, hey guys, this is sacred geometry, look what it's creating. That process I kept hidden because I didn't actually know how to describe it. And so I decided in 1990, mid-90s, that I needed to understand a little more. No, a lot more. So I started studying feng shui. I started traveling a lot, meeting teachers of various subjects. So Vastu Shastra in India, I studied feng shui in China and Tibet and Nepal, America. So I traveled to dozens and dozens of cities, meeting and going to many wonderful places. And everywhere I went, I realized that the information that's coming to me is not coming as a linear transmission. I was traveling around the world, meeting amazing people, started to teach, not because I felt I was ready to teach, but because teaching, as you know, is the best way to learn. And we teach what we most want to learn. So by placing myself in this position, I became open to needing to know more. But at every stage I realized I'm not learning anything here, I'm remembering.
I get
you get that?
Yes, I get
So I would think, how do I know that? And rather than asking that question neurotically and going through a whole lot of past life regressions designed to bring clarity, I just accepted it gratefully. And I had opportunity to apply this repeatedly new knowledge to every client. So every time a client came, I had an intuitive sense of how to speak with them, how to open it. And what developed was a very natural protocol that has served every client very well. In the initial meeting with the client, I'm not so interested in their budget, their vision, what it is they wish to create. And that's a little surprising for people, and perhaps some of your watchers, listeners will be surprised also. An architect should be open to hear what it is you want to create. But I felt that that will happen. That transmission of information will happen. But what needs to happen first? What needs, in my opinion and in my experience, what needs to happen first is that the client is not so much you sitting there. The client is the earth. And right now you are an agent for the earth. And that you have downloaded your own vision of what you want to create. A sacred temple, a house, an office, a studio, a dojo, whatever it is you wish to, is coming through you. And I'm facilitating your agency with the living planet. We're both in service to Earth. And from that perspective, how can we access her? How can we access what it is she wishes to create through you, through me, through us, through this process? And in my experience, the best way is to access and express and explore passion. So I would ask you, lovely to meet you. Thanks for the emails. This is a great chance. So please, before we begin, but in fact we are beginning, but before we begin the normal, let's open this and I ask you, what are your passions?
Yes, this
is the key.
Yeah, I just I have to get back, like, I think 2 weeks ago when we first met in just few minutes before your seminar. That was one of the first questions you asked me.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
I forgot that.
It was one of the first questions you asked me, except what's your name and introduction. What are your passions? And this never happened to me before. So I was like, wow, that's very interesting. But I found it very interesting way how to find basically very naturally the most, let's say, information about who are you talking to.
Yes.
Through his passions, when he expresses what are his passions. So you learn much more in let's say few time.
Yes. And I know sometimes it's a bit abrupt and a bit immediate, but personally I'm really focused and interested and passionate about accessing our creative potential quickly. Not because there's any time pressure. I'm not so interested in linear time pressure. I'm interested in what can we create together. So do we talk about blah blah for a couple of meetings? Do we just, so tell me a little bit about yourself, well I'm working on this, I'm working on that. Yes, but why not compress that into a moment of knowing? So when you start speaking about your passion, even if you've never spoken about it before, which is for many people, they have never been asked this question, and they've never actually articulated their passion. The very fact that you're asked opens a door. We go, well, no, I've never been asked that before. Give me a minute. But actually now, and even this, look at the body language. Something changes. They start, their body changes, they get little goosebumps.
Yes.
They start to say, well, now that you ask me, I love connecting people. You know, I love the idea that truth can come through me, through the medium structure I create, to the ears and hearts and eyes and noses of people around the world. In Czech, in Slovak, in English, in Spanish. Why not Spanish? Spanish. Yeah, why not? You know, this type of energy. So it seems a little bit frenetic. And I don't mean to suggest that this is like a buzz fest. When they speak about it, something magical happens. Your spine aligns, your body language gets into its truth, your ability to download your passion, your poslani, your vision, your mission becomes clear, crystal clear. And your words are drenched with meaning. Your energy is in pure focus. Your masculine and your feminine are working together in union. Your feminine is feeling the truth of who you are. The masculine is communicating it and expressing it clearly. So in that moment, in this energetic exchange, when I ask that simple question but deep, and you start to speak, the words are not so important. Yes, they carry information, but it's about the total holistic field. And in that moment, what you're expressing is your fullest potential, your divine mission, the reason you're here. Even if the details are not so clear, it doesn't matter. And in that field event, for whatever combination of reasons, I'm open to receive that information. And I receive it symbolically, energetically, visually, geometrically. And I don't, in my mind, I'm not jumping on these things. I'm just creating a space. It's like a file folder on your desktop.
Okay.
You're right, you know? And open file, opened. Put in what comes in. And I'm not trying to justify it or self-organize it or put it in any box. I'm not taking that information saying, okay, that's what he wants, this is what I can do, that's what we must do. It's a space of safety, it's a space of sacred creativity, it's a space of non-linear potential. And I'm holding that safely, and that's my ability and my skill to create that space for you to share. I hold that energy without judgment, without filtering, without trying to impose my design perspective onto it. And I hold it like a baby, you know? I hold it as a flower. I hold it as a rose just about to open. And in that same moment, I'm open to the passion I'm feeling for working with you or them or these people, this place. And when I do, interconnections start to form. I start to receive geometric mandalas, images, and they come simultaneously with the finished building. You know, I see people, I can smell the building, I can imagine touching it, I can walk towards it. And it's never too much.
Yeah.
I get what I can hold, and each time I get it, I can hold a little more. And the more I create that safe space within me, for you, for the earth, the more that image comes through with clarity and sensory expression. And then I say to you, so in this project, before we get involved in details and budgets and sizes, what image bubbles up from your subconscious when I ask you to open to this project? What do you mean? Well, now just relax. Let your right brain present a symbol. So you're thinking, wow, well, when I think of what this place would mean for me and my family and the people I'm with, or the people I wish to attract to this place, I get the image of actually a lotus flower. It just popped into my head. Or I got the image of a chandelier with crystals. Or I got the image of a banana. There was another woman, I remember, she got the image of her hair, much longer, waving in the wind.
That's interesting.
So at the same time that you would be expressing some symbolism, and a symbol is very information rich. It's able to hold a huge amount of information that's so beyond language, which is why symbolism is our primary language. And we put words on top of it to try and make sense of it. But symbolism is very context rich. So if you got an image of the sunrise, and that sensation, that visual, that sense of light filling the environment, sparkling on the trees, you know, on the dew that's still there, the moisture on the leaves, you know, and that can be a sensational visualization, a sensory experience, an imagination. Doesn't matter what we call it, it becomes your doorway to the future, to your best possible future, to a space, an environment, a structure that is an embodiment of the reason you're here. So why not build a structure that is the geometry of your deepest purpose?
Yes, this is
Cool.
yes, this is like really amazing. When we first talked about this two weeks ago, I was really fascinated that
Feels like a year ago.
Yeah. When you describe what you are doing, that you basically are like doing the foundations or just designing a house that or whatever building you need that actively supports your highest purpose, your creativity, your like potential.
Yeah.
So this is let's say like a dream come true for everybody.
It's literally that. It's your dream. It's your soul's dream becoming true. It's not just an expression, your dreams come true, Hollywood. It really is, that's the process. You use a perfect expression. So what's your sacred dream? Everyone has one. And how does it become true? Now this process is for everyone, but not everyone can handle it. Because in many cases, at least 100 cases that I can specifically remember, when the client, the agent for the planet, receives the drawings, quite often it's too much for them. So quite a few times I would send the drawings or present them to it and they shut down.
By too much you mean it's
energetically.
Yes, it's for example, because someone when he's designing, when he's thinking about his house, it's basically like, let's say, a typical house or a villa. So your designs are much more organic to the much more fluent.
No, I wouldn't say it's safe to say that, because I seek to design holistically.
Okay.
But of course, we're not designing in isolation. Every one of these structures has a context. Sometimes that context is in the middle of the country, in nature, in a forest, where we can be more flowing and more natural. Other times the context is within an existing fabric, a city, in which case it's not appropriate. Building, blob, building. It's not that I'm automatically preset to do something curvy.
I understand.
It's all about energy flow, feng shui, wind, water, energy containment. It's all about appropriate flow of energy and information that frees up potential but doesn't create conflict with what's already there. So this is the key, because in the seminars I'm doing for people, men and for couples and for men and women, it's not about immediately challenging everything. It's about providing safety. In a seminar, it's sacred space and sacred time. In a building, it's the same, just a little bit more permanent. And in these structures, in these presentations, when I say it's not easy for some people and sometimes they shut down, because when they are presented with a piece of paper that has a pattern contained within it that they have to look at and see, this is my truth. Am I ready to accept this? And quite often the answer is no. Put it back in the envelope. And quite a few times I sent drawings and heard nothing, not even an email. We received the drawings, we need some time, thank you. Sometimes nothing. I think,
Does it happen that they get back to you after?
This is it. Sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year. And they get back and say, so sorry we never acknowledged receipt of the drawings. So sorry it has taken a long time. And when I read this, I'm smiling. But then they say, because you wouldn't believe what has happened in the last 6 months, the last year. Everything. He lost his job, they had relationship difficulty, his father passed. Major life changes. But the drawings didn't cause them. The drawings were a catalyst for an openness to evolve consciously. So the drawings activated that. So I always say to clients and potential clients, the smallest reason we are together is to create a building.
Yeah.
That's just the story.
Much higher.
Fuller.
Sorry, fuller.
No, it's a point because I don't want to focus on higher. I want to focus on fuller. Because so much of our spiritual and philosophical movement is obsessed with verticality.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that. I'm very comfortable for people to believe it. I just don't buy into that. For those people watching and listening, the phone rang, which at the matrix level interrupted the interview. But at the fuller context, fuller conscious level, it provided an opportunity for focus. Because this is an important point, and it's one I'm completely anchored in and eager to express. Our evolution is not, to me, a linear vertical path of higher consciousness, higher self, higher vibration. I think that is an artifact of the old story, the old perception of evolution being a vertical linear journey. For me, I believe our evolution is a continuous movement, a continuous relationship between what we believe is self and what we believe is not self. To me, it's all one field, forever, but we contain a bubble. We create a bubble of psychology, a bubble of self-belief, a bubble of self-perception. And that bubble is permeable. That bubble is continuously receiving signals like a cell from the elements in the environment, testing, challenging, informing, releasing. And this bubble, if it's rigid, it doesn't let anything new in. And if it's too permeable, it bursts. Yeah. And our psychology is reflecting that. So somebody could be very rigid and cynical, or they could be very open and flowy, but lacking stability. So I think in order for us to grow, we need to be aware of our membrane of perception, allow it to be fully active and picking up on all the elements of the environment, all the signals, and testing that. Is this true? Possibly. Is it my truth? Yes. Can I incorporate this truth? Yes, I'll take it in. How does it change me? Interesting. I didn't expect that. So through awareness and perception, we grow. Our membrane of self, not self, begins to change. So that eventually, that membrane continues to expand. Vertically, into what we would call higher self, higher understanding. Vertically downwards, to connect with our body, to connect with the living planet, to connect with our shadows, to connect with our darkness, to connect with the darkness. And while this expansion is happening in this direction, it's happening in front of us, it's happening behind us, it's happening to our left, to our right. It's a sphere. So the left is associated with the feminine, right brain, left side of the body. The right is associated with our masculine, left side of the brain, logical, linear, active. The front is about who am I, what am I opening to. The back is what are my strengths, what's my history, what karmic, genetic, societal support do I have, what can I learn from this, how can I open for this. So our senses are focused to the front of our body. So we tend to have a cone of attention. But when we start growing in all directions at the same time, we have stability, we have flexibility, we're able to handle and work with the polarities, light and dark, masculine and feminine, energy and focus, creativity, stability. All of these together are the key of what I'm seeking to develop for myself and others. Because my poslani, Czech word meaning my deepest purpose, my mission, has many components. But ultimately it's about preparing people for the new earth. It's about opening people's potential through the opening of my own and providing sacred space, physically, energetically, psychologically, providing that space for somebody to be able to say, wow, can I do that? I think so. He seems to believe in me. I'll try. Wow. And when individuals, collectives, communities can step into that space, a space that I'm taking responsibility for, a space that I feel is real and that wishes to be created through my heart, through my physicality, through my groundedness, through my visioning. And if I can hold that space with integrity, with presence, with focus, but not with rigidity, not with the assumption that it's my view or nothing. It's a space of yesness, where I give you the potential to say yes to you. And when people feel that coming from me, or perhaps more accurately, coming through me, that allows them to access their purpose, access their sacred dream, access whatever's stopping them from fulfilling it. So tomorrow, I have a 2-day seminar called Business with Heart. And that's specifically about opening people's awareness, consciously and unconsciously, to what it is they're here to give. What it is that wants, knock, 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 to come through the door of their heart. What do they need to create, imagine, physicalize, express? And how can they do that in such a way that the value dynamic is relaxed? They're doing it because they want to, must, and feel like it. Not because they need to pay the hypothec, the mortgage, they need to do this, do that. I must make money with this, or I can do this job to make money, and maybe at the weekend I can follow my passion.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with this idea, it's an experiment of consciousness, but enough already.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
We are not on the planet to be pissed off about Monday mornings. We're not on the planet to have a feeling that Friday is better than Monday. This arbitrary control of our excitement, our enthusiasm, our attention. If you draw a graph of most people in the matrix, of their attention and their life force, it's down on Monday. It's sort of at its lowest peak on Wednesday, the furthest point from the weekend, the end of the working week.
Mm-hmm.
And Thursday night, there's the beginning of hope. Friday's a little bit party mode. Saturday, full expression. Sunday, recovery. Monday, here we go again.
Yeah, I totally know what you are talking about.
Yes, and most people watching get this, you know.
Exactly. This used to be my my working week.
Most people.
Yeah. Lots of people.
And why do we assume that it must be this way? Why do we accept this? This isn't about being a revolutionary and knocking the system. It's about thinking, wait a minute, is this the way it must be? So, there's a wonderful English expression, I'm not sure of its origin, but it's those that dance are thought to be crazy by those who can't hear the music. So, how I act in the world looks crazy to most people, because they just think I'm dancing to some crazy tune that they can't hear. If you're familiar with cymatics, cymatics, for those that don't know, look it up on YouTube or on Wikipedia. It's C-Y-matics, and it is the study of vibration. It's the study of how vibrational information or energy expresses visually. So literally it can be some fine powder or substance, dust or lycopodium spores, something on a vibrating plate. And this plate can be physically vibrated or it can be electrically vibrated. But all of these particles can hear the tune, can hear the vibrational energy or information, and they begin to take on a form, which is the standing wave, the geometry of pressure that this dynamic or this frequency holds. So we can visualize and see in front of our eyes a map of what that energy looks like. We change the tune, and immediately this pattern changes. It can be expressed in light, in some physical medium, in some liquid, in some anything. In water is particularly interesting. So what if we are 70% water? What is the vibrational cymatic function or expression of your water? Is it in chaos? Is it some pattern that's old? Is it in protection defense mode? Or is it in openness? Does it lack integrity? Is it too flowing? So what's the cymatics? Now, when you watch cymatics as a video, you'll see a plate, you'll see some substance, you'll see the tune starting, you'll see the pattern self-organizing into something. Then as the tune or the pattern changes, the previous shape breaks down, and then it forms a new one. Then this one changes, it breaks down, forms a new one. If you see it as a series of photographs, order, chaos, order, chaos, order, chaos, and if you're just focused on the chaos, which most people are, economic collapse, environmental degradation, terrorists, Islamic invasion, all of these stories that are being presented to us by a system that's focused only on the chaos, and by virtue of that focus creates it. If we pan back and say, okay, this chaos, it's as a result of some order, and it's inviting new order. Pan back a little bit more. It was like this, then it was like that, now it's this, what's next? So it's a natural evolution of the expression of consciousness. As a people, as stratas of living energy, living consciousness on a growing, evolving planet. So all of these cymatic functions are changing at the same time. The sun's the sun's output, the information that's coming from the sun informing the earth. How the earth receives that information into her heart, into her core. How that information reaches the surface. How we feel it in our body, in our yoni, in our testicles, in our heart, in our mind. How are we receiving the information from the heaven and the earth when it comes here, comes here, comes here, expresses out? So these are cymatic events. And we are resonating with people who are containing and holding similar cymatic patterns. If we say, you're the same as me, we share a vision, we are right, they are wrong, we're missing the point. So it's our responsibility to feel our own cymatic expression, contain it, protect it, hold it, but let it evolve. So don't have such an open mind that your brain falls out, but contain it, hold it gently, but allow it to breathe, allow it to grow. Feel the changes. Let the structures form naturally, but let them go when necessary, when you feel it's time for something new. So at the moment, the earth and its inhabitants at all levels of manifestation are already feeling the new tune, the new cymatic function. But because we have created a society that's an imprint and a projection of the previous pattern, the old story of separateness, the new pattern, the new story of interbeing is being felt by sensitive people. And they know that this is not working anymore. They can feel that there is a period of reformatting, a period of reimagining, a period of releasing. Now, even the word release is interesting. To release something in English means to revisit, to go back into it. When you lease something, you can lease a car, you can lease a property, you're basically signing a temporary agreement to take responsibility for something. A car, a space, an idea, a project. So by releasing something, you're opening to take responsibility for a process. It's cool, huh?
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Because, and so we are, people like you and I and everyone watching this and listening to this, they are part of this new story being told. And the story isn't written yet. We are writing it in the telling. So it's a simultaneous unfolding mythology. It's a new story of interbeing. And it gets told to each other, to the others, in the doing. And it can only be facilitated by feeling fearlessness, not fearlessness, it's okay to feel the fear, it helps us focus, but having the courage to take a step into the unknown and consciously taking a leap of faith, opening up. I feel this very clearly, that how I give my gift is no longer comfortable from money, for example. I'm happy to receive money as a gift, but I want to give what I have as a gift because I feel it as a gift. I want to give it as a gift. I want it to be felt as a gift. Therefore, if I'm obsessed or focused on what that gift is worth, then I've blocked the creative flow. I've created a closed system, which is an imposition of order based on incomplete knowing. If I open this system of exchange and say, I want to give you this house design, this advice, this attention, this time as a gift, which I feel like giving you now and giving everyone here, it's a gift of not my precious time. It's a gift of my life force, my openness, my information and energy that's currently sitting comfortably with me that wishes to be expressed. So I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I wish to express that gratitude by being open to give my gift. And it's not a new age philosophy, it's the way that life works. A flower doesn't half open to the sun and hold back a little bit. The sun doesn't say, I'll give a little bit of light to this flower. He hasn't behaved very well recently, So a flower says, this is who I am. The sun says, me too. And here's what I've got to give it. No judgment. And there's a beautiful natural exchange of energy and information, of beauty, of love. You look at the sun, you feel its power. You look at the flower and think, wow, this is what the sun can do. And the sun exists for this to happen. And this happens because the sun exists. But without the flower, the sun couldn't be seen for what it is. And we even have a sunflower seed, the sunflower itself, which is a flower that maps the sun. And the spiral patterns of seeds contain a hidden geometry that is the geometry of perfect fusion, which is the pressure physics at the heart of the sun, the heart of your heart, your mind when you're your heart when you're feeling compassion, love, connection. The geometric processes that are expressed in your heart, your mind, your body, your testicles, your womb, your ovaries, your hand when you draw, when you create, when you caress, when you push, when you pull. It's the same geometry of pressure that the sun gives. So we are the only life form on this planet that holds back. We're the only life form that seeks to control the exchange of energy and information. I am worth this, you are worth that, I want this from you, you must give me this if I'm going to open myself to you. And this is the old story program of control, manipulation, linear exchange. And it doesn't excite me. It doesn't interest me. I'm not judging it. I just don't work with it anymore. And that's really interesting to me. What can happen from this moment? Not bombastically ungrounded creativity, but a natural flow from concept, feeling, formulation, excitement, creativity, manifestation, and then appreciation. If this is something worth being created individually, together, collectively, it must be beautiful, or else why do it? And I don't mean surface level beauty, I mean this, when I look at something, does this make me feel more alive? The design of this, does it make me feel that I recognize myself in this? Mm-hmm. If it doesn't, then why focus on it? Someone created that. I like the color. I like the heaviness and the stability of it. It would be even nicer if we had a candle inside it,
Yeah, exactly.
So this is not getting a chance to fulfill its full potential. So it has potential that I can feel, but what can I change in this moment to make that more alive? Mm-hmm. What can I do consciously to feel this candle holder has potential, but it's not active right now? What can I do in this moment to make this more alive?
Yeah, this remembers me on my journey when I started different thinking, I was all into conspiracies, like the war, vaccination, health, like money and everything. And when I found out, I just needed to talk to people and look at this, and it cost me so much energy, and nobody
necessary.
Yes, and nobody believed me.
Yeah.
And after few years, I found out that it's just drawing me like from energy, and then I switched, and then I said like, okay, I acknowledge it, it's here, but I'm not fighting it. If I want to create, or if I want to change something, I won't go against, but I will create an alternative. I will do.
Yes, if you use your creative potential in the manifestation of something more beautiful than what currently exists. You don't have to fight what exists. You don't have to judge it. You don't have to be in conflict with it. You can just create something that's more beautiful. And nature will naturally go to that. Nature will naturally wish to invest in this creation. And people's attention will be drawn to it. Because we are programmed to watch out for beauty, to perceive it, to take it in, to be activated by it, and to want to create more of it. Create a beautiful social structure, a beautiful system of engagement, a beautiful place, a beautiful opportunity. People will be drawn to it. When they're drawn to it, attracted to it, they will now invest their energy on it. And that which came before will naturally fall away. So we don't need to jail the bankers and stop the chemtrails. You know, we need to be aware of them, because evolution comes from making the shadow conscious. And all of these horrible things happening in the world are symptoms of the old story realizing that it's falling apart.
Yes, you said it yesterday perfectly, that money is let's say an energy exchange, but the future currency is attention. It's basically a universal currency, because whatever you are focusing at, you are giving energy
Absolutely.
to. So, and this was really, even though I knew it, you put it amazingly to get that the attention is let's say the new currency.
Sure. And I feel that. Now, that attention can be expressed as pieces of colored paper that we agree have value. So this isn't about saying money is evil or let's get rid of it. Because I don't want to live in a society where the only medium of exchange is some electronic money that is being controlled by a central bank system. I'm much more interested in a natural exchange, some of which can be expressed as pieces of paper that can be used to create value for things you need. I have no problem with the money system in that sense. It's another medium of exchange. But there are others. And to me, it's all about where we wish to place our attention. If I can feel my own heart and the mission that wishes to come through me, then if I give that attention, if I give that movement my focus, then it becomes real in my life. Then I pull to myself what I need and what I want in order for that to be true. So it's a baseline for manifestation. Bring to yourself what it is you need. Bring to yourself what it is you want. And finding out what you need is easier to understand than what you want. What you need is energy, safety, security, time, freedom, a long list of things that we need at a basic level. You can start from simplicity. We need oxygen. You know, we need water. We can do without food, prana and so on, but food is nice, you know. So we can do with that in order to feed our physical body so we can focus on something else. Then we need shelter. Then we need an opportunity to express companionship, relationship, so on, and so on and so forth. After that, what do I want? And spiritual traditions have been incomplete in my opinion, because they've tried to bring us to the point of simplicity, as if simplicity is automatically a virtue, as if simplicity is better than complexity. It can be, but you can live in a complex environment with a simple truth. And you can be fully comfortable in this changeability. And this is how we balance our internal masculine and our internal feminine. Everyone's internal masculine wants freedom, wants simplicity, wants clarity and stillness. Everyone's internal femininity wants movement and life force and evolution and change, a little bit of chaos, wants things happening, feelings, sensory. So our masculine and feminine are apparently fighting, but they're creating the stability and the expression, the movement and the knowing, dancing together inside each of us. And if we're lucky enough to be in a conscious relationship, then we get a chance to dance with another person in this flow.
Yes,
so cool.
Yeah, it's this is what I'm basically experiencing in last year, and it's my sincere wish to that everybody could experience what I'm experiencing with my partner, because I've never ever felt felt or experienced or knew somebody that would be, let's say, there would be under, like what I'm understanding, it was such close representation of divine feminine, because it's really the support, the love, it's well, basically I can't describe it, and this is so this is amazing, and if so.
You're a happy man.
I am. I really.
But you're not stagnant. You're happy,
fulfilled.
Moving.
Yes.
And even the word fulfilled. You're filled with fullness.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can feel your own divine masculine getting the support and the trust and the radiance and the presence through your partner that gives you the belief that you can be more. Not that more is better, but you can be all that you are here to be. Fuller expression of your truth. And that feeds her. Not manipulatively, but it feeds her own radiance. It feeds her when she can associate herself with a counterpoint that is connecting with his truth, connecting with his divine mission, and manifesting it playfully, intelligently, openly, then she feels the world is a good place. She can feel that there's hope, there's safety, there's creative movement, and this is a wonderful dynamic, and more people are heading in that direction, thankfully, because that's what it's all about. It's not about old story contractual agreements, limits. And in ancient Celtic tradition, a couple would connect, want to be together, and on the summer solstice, they would express that union.
Okay.
They would tie the knot, which would be some cloth that's wrapped around both of their wrists, tying the knot. And it would be witnessed by the tribe, by the community, by the people and families. And it was a contract that lasted for 1 year.
Okay, that's interesting. Never heard about
And at the end of a year, it could be renewed. Or it could be dissolved. No drama, no lawyers, no outside agency trying to... It could be dissolved. But the key point was, it could be renewed if they both agree. But she must be the one to decide, not him. Now think about that for a moment. She could say to him, it's been a wonderful year, thank you, but I don't wish to renew. Why not? What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong, but, it's not for me. Maybe next year. And the guy's thinking, what happened? What did I do wrong? And he'll go through a process. I could have been more attentive.
I could have been more focused on my mission so that she could trust me and trust my movement. So he'll go through a period of time thinking, I want to be with her. She fulfills me. She activates me. She excites me. She attracts me. But why doesn't she want me? What am I doing wrong? So it's not about therapy. It's not about collapsing. It's her feeling that, no, I need freedom for me. And right now I don't wish to give my radiance to him because I've been giving it for a year and it's all I feel is his neediness. I'm not feeling his potential opening. So maybe she spends a year alone. Maybe she takes a young lover for a year. Maybe she takes an old lover for a year. And then the next time she can say to him, you want to go again? He'll say, yes, I'm ready. And they have, what an interesting, can you imagine how our society would change if our relationships were perceived and supported as an annual cyclical event which marked an ongoing movement, a conscious movement, not till death do us part. In sickness and health, you obey me and I will support you. No, let's see what's real. Let's see what's true. Let's form a union for the purposes of creating something beautiful. And we'll see is it working next year.
Yeah, that's really, really beautiful. What came to my mind right now is what are your thoughts on communities? Because when I'm thinking about it, for example, like a mom that is raising the children. I mean, when I'm thinking about it, I just have to really like admire like a woman that is taking care of her child, let's say 24 hours a day for I don't know how many years. That is unbelievable for me, because and it's not natural. I mean, if there would be let's say a family or a tribe, then she would have time for herself to regain her energy and to give it back to the child. But nowadays it's like
so I would like to address that.